Hello YouTube and welcome back to my channel. My name is Dremy. If you've never seen my face before, I basically just talk about whatever is on my mind week after week. And on my last video, I ended up saying that I would probably talk about the first video from the new season of Doctor Who. So I thought I'd do just that. So as you may or may not know, there's a new season of Doctor Who currently running. They're currently on episode 2. I've only watched the first episode, and that's the one I'm going to react to today. But they do have 2 episodes already running. And if you watched my Doctor Who video previously, if you haven't, you should go check it out. I talked about like Old Who and New Who, which basically means Old Who is from when the show started in the 60s to around the 80s. And then New Who is from 2005 to, I guess, 2024, 2023. And then this new Doctor with Ncuti Gatwa gets a whole revamp, I guess, because we're starting the seasons over. So this is season 2, whereas it would have probably been like season like 17 or something if it was with the other Doctors. Let me double check. Season 14 if it was like continuing with the last Doctors. I'm not really sure why they're doing like a new show. Probably because like Disney bought the streaming rights or something, so they're kind of just like taking the chance, and like they have new budget and stuff, so they're doing like a whole like new thing. But it is like a new Doctor Who show, so all that to explain we're in season 2 instead of season 15 by this point. But yeah, we'll talk about the first episode today, called The Robot Revolution. I watched this, I feel like 2 days after it came out, but I watched it again yesterday just to make like live reactions and kind of tell you about it. But I will do like a section where I kind of talk about it on a surface level, so I don't spoil if you do want to watch it, and then I'll kind of do like a spoily reaction at the end for anyone who did watch it and just kind of wants to hear about it and hear my like opinions about it. And if you are a Doctor Who fan and you did watch the show and you did watch the episode, I would love to know your opinions and your reactions, so please let me know in the comments. I love finding Doctor Who people, and I know that right now like the fandom is kind of like all over the place. Like there's people who really hate the new Doctor Who, which is fair, it's new, so you know, change is scary. But there's also people who really love it. I personally am kind of in the middle. Like I don't love it like I used to love like the old Who, but I feel like that's normal. Like I'm just riddled with the nostalgia at this point. But I don't hate it. I love Ncuti. I think he's a good Doctor. He's giving me like Matt Smith vibes, where he's like hyper and all over the place and he's young. But it is kind of a jump because we were used to like where the storyline was going with the Doctor was getting kind of darker, and then it got a little brighter with Jodie, and then it got dark again, and now it's like suddenly like bright again. So it is kind of jarring, I feel, to like jump from one mood to another. But you know, he's just like laying the groundwork right now to get people used to him being the Doctor. So I don't hate it. And he's still growing on me. Like I said, I don't dislike Ncuti. I think he's doing a good job as the Doctor. I just have to get used to it, like I had to get used to Matt Smith. Anyway, let's get started on the episode. So the first episode of this new season 2 of Doctor Who, is called The Robot Revolution, and is basically our introduction to the new companion for the Doctor. Her name is Belinda Chandra. So the episode, I won't say much about it because I don't want to spoil it, but it is a presentation, like I said, of Belinda, and she is a nurse, kind of like Martha was a doctor. So she is a nurse in a hospital. So this new episode, I feel, is very reminiscent of Martha. Like I said, Belinda is a nurse, and in the first Martha episode, the hospital she's working in gets stolen and put on the moon. so the hospital is in the moon. And in this one, they don't steal the whole hospital, but they do take Belinda to a new planet, which I feel is very classic Doctor Who. She gets taken to a different planet, and the normal chaos ensues. So in the spirit of not spoiling anything, I'll kind of just talk about what I think of the Doctor in this episode and Belinda Chandra, the possible new companion. And honestly, the episode just in general, I feel like it was a pretty strong first episode. We got a good sense of who Belinda Chandra is and what she stands for and her story, like her beginning. Not her beginning, I guess, like her present and a little bit like of her past, but I feel like she's very like interesting so far. Like I want to know more about her, especially because we've seen her face before, which they talk about in the episode when you guys see it. She has been in the show before as another character, and that has happened a couple times before. I talked about it on my Doctor Who episode, like Capaldi, who's the 12th Doctor. I had to do math for a second. He's the 12th Doctor. He was already cast in another episode before with David Tennant, where he was like an emperor in Pompeii. And did Pompeii have emperors? Were they emperors? Sure. And Karen Gillan was also in that same episode, and Karen Gillan was Amy Pond later on in Doctor Who with Matt Smith. So they've definitely done this before, where they kind of like pepper in people who appear later on. I'm sure there's other examples. I just haven't noticed. And so this person has already played another character. But to be honest, I didn't even notice until they pointed it out in the episode, and I was like, oh yeah, I've seen her before. Listen, I'm oblivious. Like I didn't even realize it was the same person, even though she has the same face. She did have a different haircut. That's why I feel like I understand how Superman went under the radar so long and why Hannah Montana was never discovered. Like I feel like I would be one of the people who wouldn't connect the dots, In this episode, I like how she's kind of ready for action. She kind of jumps in and she's ready to do whatever needs to be done. Which, I mean, some companions are always ready to like run and whatever, but some of them also like cower in fear and kind of just like let the Doctor do whatever he needs to do. And I like that she's like, okay, how do I help? How do I like save the situation? And obviously I'll talk about that more in the spoily section. But I don't know. I like that she's like proactive rather than reactive. Yeah, I think she's cool so far, and I'm excited to see what they do with her. Obviously, I want to know more about her story and stuff, and I'll talk about the ending, like I said, in the spoiler section. But she is like very strong-minded, so if she wants something, she'll ask for it and she'll like demand it, which I think is, a breath of fresh air. A lot of companions just go along with whatever the Doctor says. Except for Donna, she reminds me a little of Donna, and that way Donna was like, I want to go home, take me home. So aside from Belinda, we did see the Doctor, obviously it's Doctor Who, in a new like scenario. I like in this one that he has a new hairstyle. I like the afro, the short afro, and I like that he's ready to help as well. Obviously, he's always ready to help, but he kind of let Belinda take control for most of it. He just kind of trusted that she knew what she was doing, basically. She didn't, but he was like, just let her do it. She'll probably like handle it. Like he trusted that she was smart enough to get out of the pickle, I guess. And I thought that was cool. Like usually I found it like kind of annoying when the Doctor was like a know-it-all and the companion was just there, because humans aren't like that. Well, that's not true. Some some humans are leaders, others are followers. But I feel like all your companions are just like there to help, rather than like, no, we're gonna do this and you're gonna like, I'm smart. Which I feel like every companion has a point where they do that, where like they're like tired of following the doctor and they're like, no, you're gonna listen to me and we're gonna do this how I think we're gonna do it. But Belinda did it from the get-go, so I really like that we're posing her in that way. And the doctor is trusting her to do that even though they just met. I will say though, which isn't like a major spoiler, but he starts calling her Belle, because her name's Belinda. She starts calling her Belle, and it's like, you just met. We're not in nickname status right now. Why are you calling me a nickname? I don't know. I found that weird and found it kind of out of place. Which I feel is like a problem that people do have with Ncuti. He gets really friendly really fast, so it kind of feels like out of the blue. And in this one he did get emotional as well, which I personally like that. The doctor has been through a lot, and he has repressed emotions a lot, and he's let anger control his actions a lot. And in this one he's like, no, I've been through a lot, I'm gonna process these emotions, you know? And I like that. I like that he allows himself to feel what he needs to feel, and it doesn't like freeze him in the moment or anything. He does continue to do stuff, but he allows himself to feel and then he continues, you know? So I like that from Ncuti. I personally find it more relatable in that way. So yeah, I like that. I have been talking about the positives, so let's talk some negatives maybe. Although I don't really have a lot of negatives. I guess like the familiarity too fast would be a negative for me, but that is Ncuti's like character, so it is going to continue to happen, so I just have to get used to it. But I feel like that's more like a me problem because like I have like anxiety and stuff, so I'm not comfortable with like being friends from the get-go. Like I need to get warmed up to someone, so seeing that from like someone I feel like is jarring, but I feel like it's because of that. Like it's more of a me issue, not like a show issue. What else? Maybe honestly I thought the story was really interesting. We kind of see how it all tied together, so that's really cool. Like we don't have to wonder, no, but how did this happen, or why have I seen her before? Which I mean they did, because they need you to come back and see the episodes, but it didn't really like change the episode per se. For example, we do like they show an element, and like, I don't want to spoil it, so I'm trying to word it so it doesn't spoil. But they basically show like an object twice, and they kind of explain, they got this from the future, but she has it in her hand, so it's kind of confusing how that happened. But they do like mention it, and they're like, we're gonna see how that happened, how would that even like work, and that's like your indication that they're gonna later on see like it's a future adventure basically. So got that to look forward to, I guess. And they do have that character that looks like Belinda that they have to like see about, I guess. So I'm excited to see that one though, like the future descendant of Belinda Chandra and how she got there. I don't know if they will though, because they kind of just mentioned it and they're like, see, it looks just like you. But he was the doctor was suggesting like a future adventures. I really like the fact that she is a nurse. So there's a moment in the episode, which isn't really a spoiler, it's just like dialogue, where she goes, but what's your name? It can't be just the doctor. And he's like, yeah, it's the doctor. And she goes, well, then I'm the nurse. So I kind of like that, the doctor and the nurse. It kind of clicked in my brain. So I like that. Overall, I think the episode was a pretty strong start to the season. I definitely want to continue watching. And the fact that they show you like the next episode at the end also is really good, because the next episode looks really fun. It's already out. If you haven't watched it, it's already out on Disney Plus. I haven't watched it yet because I didn't want to confuse the two in this video. I probably will watch it tonight though, because it looks really fun. And it reminds me kind of the episode with Rose in the 50s with David Tennant, where they go back to the 50s. So I'm excited for that. But yeah, the episodes, I would give it like maybe like an 8 out of 10. I feel like some parts did feel a little bit rushed, and some parts didn't feel like they made sense. Like it felt like they cut like a part of the episode out, which I know they didn't, but it felt like that, you know? And it was a very companion driven show, so we barely like saw what the doctor was doing in the background, which I mean, I find refreshing. I like companion episodes because obviously we get to meet them, but they're usually interjected with the doctor in it. I feel like we barely see like the companions leading the way. I already talked about it, but I'm bringing it back up, I guess. I don't know. I like that it was a companion driven episode. I like that we got a sense of who Belinda Chandra is. By the way, I know her full name because they say it like 700 times in this episode, which is insane. But yeah, I think it was a pretty strong like introduction to Belinda, and it's a pretty strong start to a season. And they kind of like pepper in what possible episodes in the future might be, so that's kind of cool. Like, you know what you're looking forward to. I really hope they don't have like a lot of filler episodes in the season. The last season was pretty short, and they had like some filler episodes, but they all kind of like tied in and gave you like important like lore, I guess. So I don't know. I like the last season. I might do an episode about the last season because I'm not gonna react to every episode like I did, like I'm gonna do for this one. So I might do like an overall reaction of the season. But that's later on. Let's finish this one first. But yeah, I think I'm going to do the spoiling part now for anyone who did watch the episode. So if you don't want to watch the spoiling part, you can either skip to the end of the episode, although it'll probably just be like my goodbye. I might talk about the next video I'm gonna do. So if you want to skip forward, I'll put a little like timestamp somewhere, and you can skip over that. If not, well then, welcome to my reaction to the episode, detail by detail. I watched this episode and I literally just wrote down all of my thoughts as they came. So I have my computer right in front of me, so I might be looking down. But honestly, the second watch was necessary. I noticed a couple of things that I didn't notice in the first one, and it reminded me of stuff my husband noticed and I didn't. Let's get started. So the episode starts with Belinda and Alan. Well, you see a couple on a bench. You don't know who they are yet, but it's Belinda, the companion, and then Alan, her. I couldn't tell if it was her boyfriend or maybe like a friend who was shooting his shot. Like, it was very unclear for me because to me they didn't feel like a couple. Like, to be honest, as soon as Alan started talking, I got the ick immediately. So it might be just a me thing again. But Alan was just giving me creepy vibes. But it's basically just Alan giving Belinda a birthday gift, and as a birthday gift, she got a star named after her, which, as someone who has a star named after her, the name he put is completely crazy. I mean, not crazy, but it's like, I don't know, it's weird. Like, he named the star Miss Belinda Chandra, all her full government name with the Miss in front of it. And Belinda even comments on it. She's like, "Why Miss?" And he's like, "Are you married?" I was like, ick. And yuck. I was like, immediately, I was like, no, why are you here with this man right now if he's giving serial killer vibes, you know? And then at the end they kiss and it's very awkward. That's why I'm like, I don't understand if they're already like an established couple or if like they're just like starting to date, because he's like very awkward about the kiss. But anyway, yeah, he gives her a star called Miss Belinda Chandra. And then they skip forward, I believe, 17 years. where they show you Belinda at the hospital where she works as a nurse, like I said before. And she's kind of just running around doing her work, and we see like a shot of the doctor. And so the doctor is looking for somebody. I'm guessing it's Belinda. And he kind of asks the nurses like where she is, or like, can I see like your registry or whatever? And they say no, and he tries to look it up with his sonic remote because it's not a screwdriver anymore. Bring back the sonic screwdriver. # bring back the sonic screwdriver. And he messes everything up because of course he does, and the lights go out. And Belinda just kind of like keeps working, and they're kind of introducing you and presenting you as like Belinda's a nurse, and this is what nurses do. They're just running around constantly. Which, shout out to nurses. They're like troopers. But she finishes her job and she goes home. And she goes home to, I guess, 2 roommates, but I can't really tell. like, because she talks to one roommate and the roommate talks about another roommate. So I'm guessing it's 3. But it kind of feels like it's just like a sorority at this point. And they're blaming her for like eating some food that's not hers. And she says, no, it was the other person. And the roommate says, no, but she said it was you. So it's already like a bad vibe in this apartment. Belinda just doesn't have a good judge of character, I guess. Like, why are you selecting like these toxic people to be surrounded by? But anyway, she drinks some milk that's not hers and she goes to sleep. But she gets woken up by like a big boom in her backyard, and her like star certificate is still on her wall. Which, why do you have that on your wall still? Like, they're not together at this point. I would have it like stuffed in a drawer or something. But anyway, it falls off the wall and it breaks on the floor. And she runs out because obviously there's a big bang and no one has any survival skills in this world. So she runs out and she goes to investigate what's going on. And she sees like a spaceship out her window. And she goes down to the kitchen, which, by the way, she went into the kitchen, and I'm like 98% sure this is like Donna's house from like the episode where they brought David Tennant back before in Ncuti. But I'm pretty sure like that's her house. Like, what do you guys think? If you've watched both episodes, do you guys think that's her house? Because it looks exactly the same to when she was talking to her daughter and her mom in the kitchen, and then it leads out to the backyard, and that's kind of like what it looked like on that episode. It's further like evidence with like the neighbor, but I'm pretty sure Mrs. Frost is the neighbor. By the way, who is Mrs. Frost? I really need to know who Mrs. Frost is at this point. Like, I really need to understand who she is in this story. I can't wait till they talk about that, because I feel like it's gonna be like a mind-blowing moment, kind of like the face of Bo, if you know about it. But I'm pretty sure Mrs. Frost, I don't remember if Mrs. Frost was a next door neighbor or like a across the street neighbor. Like, I can't remember now. I have to rewatch that episode, but I'm pretty sure that's the same house. But she does say that her landlord is a very strict man, and that house I'm pretty sure belongs to like Donna's mom, so it wouldn't be a man. It could be like Donna's husband, but he doesn't seem like a strict man. Or it could be, spoilers if you haven't seen that Donna episode, but it could be like Dave Tennant, like the doctor. He's the man who's like the tenant because he stayed. But anyway, I'm focusing too much on the apartment. She goes out the backyard door and she sees the robots there, and she's like, what's going on? Well, she doesn't go out the door. They come into the kitchen and destroy everything, basically. And they're like, we're looking for Miss Belinda Chandra. And she's like, Miss Belinda Chandra? I'm Miss Belinda Chandra, I guess. And they're like, we need to take you back to your planet, Queen. Like, Queen. And she's like, what do you mean, Queen? What do you mean my planet? What are you talking about? And they show her like the certificate where the star is named after her, so the planet is named after her. And at first I was like, how would they know that this star is named Miss Belinda Chandra? Like, this is a human registry sort of thing. But it makes sense later on, so. Although the way it makes sense would be kind of, I feel like a paradox, but I'll get to it later on when I explain that part. So they take her into the spaceship and they take her up to the planet, which is a star. It's not, is it a star or is it well, it's a star, but it's also a planet. I know about planets. I know what I'm talking about. That's where she sees Mrs. Frost and she's like, tell my parents I love them and tell this. Oh, by the way, the robots kill a cat for no reason. Like, it wasn't necessary to completely disintegrate a cat. There's no need. You could have done anything else. You could have disintegrated a teapot. Why did you have to kill a cat? But anyway, Belinda's like, Mrs. Frost, tell like this person that her cat is happy and she went to the farm, like, and tell my parents I love them. And that's where we see Mrs. Frost, which again, who are you? But also she sees the doctor, like, because the doctor runs out as the spaceship flies away and he's like, no, because he was trying to reach Belinda before they took her. And then Mrs. Frost kind of sees the doctor and she hides away, but she speaks into the camera and she says, you didn't see me here. And I was like, don't talk to me. Don't talk to me until you tell me who you are. Like, we're not on the same team. I will tell the doctor that I saw you because you're not being truthful right now. So yeah, I really want to know who she is, as you can tell probably. And then they get to the planet. It's called Miss Belinda Chandra, obviously. And the names are just dumb. Like, first of all, Miss Belinda Chandra is the whole name of the planet, which full government name is crazy talk. But like, the community is called Miss Belinda Chandraville and the robots are called Miss Belinda Chandra bots, and they start bombing a place with Miss Belinda Chandra bombs. I can't. It's such a mouthful. Like, I can't. Anyway, she gets introduced to Sasha 55, which is someone who just lives and works in Miss Belinda Chandraville. And I instantly liked her, which is never a good sign for characters. Like, she was cool. She was like, she looked nice. And she kind of gives like a welcome message to Miss Belinda. See, I'm already being infected by this planet. She gives the introduction to Belinda. She's like, welcome to Miss Belinda Chandraville. And she says the overlords are the Miss Belinda Chandra bots. So the robots that got her are actually like the leaders of this planet. And she's like, anyway, thank you for coming, whatever. And then at the end, she kind of whispers, help us, like, save us. So from the get-go, we do get like the sense that there's trouble. Which, I mean, they did kidnap her from her planet, so I feel like that's already a sign of trouble. But, you know. And then we get introduced to the best character in this episode, which it has no name, but he says Polish. So I call him Polish Bot. And he's the best character in this episode. And he should have gone with the doctor. He should be a companion from now on. He should be the new canine. Polish Bot. Justice for Polish Bot. It's a little robot that basically polishes the floor so Chandra can walk, but it's so cute. Two comes into the room and she sees like there's two rows of people lined up, which are like people from Miss Belinda Chandraville, and it's like a council. And she gets walked up to like a throne, basically, because she's the queen. And while she's walking, we do get a shot of the doctor. He's in the like council like lineup, and he is now the historian of the Miss Belinda Chandraville people. And he's there to kind of basically communicate to Belinda that there's trouble. which they do in, I feel like, a clever way. I thought it was clever. But before they do that, though, they do introduce her to, like, they do tell her why she's there. The robots say that she's there to basically marry the king of the planet, which is called AI Bot, I guess. AI Bot. Of course, AI is destroying a planet because, of course. Also, she says, why is everything on this planet so stupid? Which, same girl. But they also tell her that they would like upgrade her with robotics, which is basically like Cybermen. And I don't know if that was like intentional to like let us know, hey, possible Cybermen in the season, or just like she needs to be a robot because the king is a robot. Which is probably what happened. But she gets introduced to the historian, which is the doctor, and he sent her like a help message in a way that, like I said, I thought was clever, but I also wonder how they figured that out, because the robots that are watching don't hear every 9th word in a sentence. But I feel like, how would you even notice that? How would you even find that out? Do you just sit there and just say words until they can't hear you? I don't know. I didn't really understand it that. And it tells a story of like the history of Miss Belinda Chandraville, and every 9th word is like a warning, which doesn't go with the story. So she can kind of notice. And I really appreciate that after he does the whole story, they kind of like repeat every 9th word, because I, as an ADD, I did not follow that at all. Like I knew I had to be listening to every 9th word, and by the 3rd word, I had already forgotten the 1st word, so I appreciate that they repeated it. And then Miss Belinda, I keep calling her Miss Belinda. See, Belinda does her own like. That's her response, and it's like, this story is interesting and very, very interesting. Like, she's not good at improv. She's not an improv queen, okay? She is here just to be here, okay? But they basically start a revolution in the throne room, and the doctors and the robots have like lasers, right? But they kind of disintegrate the same way that the Daleks' lasers do. So they're doing kind of like shout outs to other Doctor Who villains. And I don't know if they're like, again, I don't know if they're supposed to be like, oh, we're gonna see them soon, or if it's just a coincidence. Because the robots do have like normal like laser guns, whereas the Daleks obviously like have it ingrained into their head. Their torso, I guess. They're a cone. They don't have a torso. They're just a cone. But the lasers are very reminiscent of the Daleks. So I know if there's a bigger Doctor Who fan out there that can like point out all the Easter eggs I have missed. Like, I don't even know. Shout out to New Rockstars. They do a lot of like breakdowns of stuff of pop culture and stuff. I don't know if they do Doctor Who though. I might have to check. Because it'd be really cool to watch them. That's what I tangent again. I do that when I watch any like Marvel episodes or any Marvel movies. And I'm pretty sure they did it with Game of Thrones too. We would watch the episode and then we would watch the New Rockstars reaction, because they work like 24/7. I swear. Because they have a video like the day after breaking down the whole episode, like scene by scene, like frame by frame, and they're amazing. So check out New Rockstars. But I am not that good at noticing stuff, so I haven't noticed if it's like on purpose and stuff. And they probably did more like shout outs to other things that I just didn't notice. So, but yeah, they start fighting, and a lot of people die by the hands of the robots, including Sasha, which I knew it was gonna happen, because she was even like, oh, I can't wait to go on adventures to you, doctor, take me to the stars. I was like, she did the hopeful speech. The hopeful speech means they're not gonna get there. that's like I know we're gonna be friends forever, and then they die. She started saying that, I was like, oh, Sasha's dead. And then they killed her like 2 minutes later. So we didn't even get like time to process what she was saying. She was saying that she was gonna be the next companion, but then she died. Anyway, they also show the polish robot, which I call polish bot, PPB, and he's running away. So the whole time I was worried about PPB. I was like, no, run, no, don't kill it. But he does make it to the escape hatch. Just in case you were worried, he does escape. He escapes with everybody. He's safe. But at this point, we do get a little taste of who Belinda is, because the robot tries to like defend her, and she's like, you don't have to defend me. I can defend myself. Or he says like, oh, shush. And she's like, don't shush me. So you get a feeling of like, she's a take no crap kind of person, you know? And I kind of like that. I like that she's strong and that she won't take the doctor's shit. So I'm excited to see adventures where he can't just do whatever he wants. But anyway, let's keep going, because I keep talking about Belinda. I clearly like Belinda. At this point, I was like, I guess, annoyed that they keep calling her by her full legal name. I literally wrote down, stop calling her by her full legal name, I swear. But they get to like the hideout, I guess, and a lot of people are hurt, obviously injured, and because it was just kind of like a semi-war. And so she's ready to help, and she's like, is this like IV? And obviously they don't know what IV is, but they kind of try to explain what it is. She's like, okay, that sounds familiar, I can help. And they introduce X-ray blankets, which sounds genius. Like it's just a blanket that you put on top and it X-rays your body with no radiation, I guess the doctor said. So that was really cool. Like, get working on that. And then the doctor shows that he has 2 hearts, which I literally wrote show off. He shows that he has 2 hearts. Which, if you're not a Doctor Who fan and you're here in the spoily part, first of all, what are you doing here? I thought you were gonna watch it. You're spoiling it. But also he has 2 hearts. I didn't mention that before in my Doctor Who video, so it's not very important. It's important in some episodes, but he just has 2 hearts instead of 1. Anyway, he also does a shout out to Timey Wimey. I know it was to be like, haha, remember this? But like, it didn't work. It's wibbly wobbly. Timey wimey. Anyway, that's a me thing. Yeah. Obviously, all of this is a me thing, Jeremy. It's an opinion video. And that's what it's for. Anyway, they point out the certificate again. And they say that the robot has, like the AI has a certificate. And it's the same certificate that she has in her hand. And this is where I was like, but how does that work? Because they said they got it from the future. It's like, yeah, but she has it. Did they find her again in the future and steal it back? Like, I don't understand how that would work. But anyway, they show that they have to, and that they're not supposed to. And that's why the world is glitching, because they had a glitch when they were coming in. And that it's not supposed to be there, which we've seen before. When David Tennant was the Doctor, he had an episode with Rose. Not David Tennant, it was still Eccleston. He had an episode where Rose went back to when her dad died. And obviously she was a baby there. So it had like adult Rose and baby Rose. And you can't have 2 of the same thing in the same universe or the same time. And the world went kind of crazy. So it's kind of like a callback to that. So the world was going crazy, basically. And at this point, Belinda went to turn on the polish bot, which they had turned off because they could track them there. Like the polish bot could have like a little chip where the Miss Belinda Chandra bots could like locate them, so they turned it off, and Belinda went and turned it on, which I'm still not sure why she did that. Like, she put them all at risk, because yeah, they wanted her, but they're still rebels and this is their center, so you're bringing them to where they're hiding. So just because they take you doesn't mean they won't just kill everybody in there, you know. And that's where the doctor says Belle for the first time. It's like, no, Belle, what did you do? And I'm like, you're not friends, you just met. Why nicknames? That's not how that works. Anyway. This is one of the things that kind of felt out of place for me, is that she goes, why did you do this? And she goes, because my name is Miss Belinda Chandra, and it's time I owned up to it. And it's like, no, you weren't at any point, you weren't saying, oh no, I'm not Miss Belinda Chandra. Like this, I don't know, it felt like it wasn't an obstacle in the first place. Like, why are you pointing it out? Like, this is like a momentous moment for you where you finally accept that your name is Belinda Chandra. Like, at any point, like, you didn't say at any point, I'm not Miss Belinda. No, don't see me. I don't know. That felt kind of out of place for me. And they try to convince they take her up to like AI, and they try to convince us that he's like in pain, which I still don't believe. But they do reveal that it's Alan. It's not AI, it's AL for Alan. You know, the boyfriend she left 17 years ago. 17 years ago? Why are you still hung up on it? But to be fair, she still had the certificate on her wall, so I don't know what went on with them. I did write down that Alan gave me incel vibes, because he does. And I got validated because Belinda says, oh, planet of the incels. I'm like, thank you. I'm glad we both agree. And that my initial ick was correct. But, you know, it was really weird because they dated 16 years ago. And he just never got over it, I guess, to the point where he got stolen back to that same planet and became like the king of it and took over this planet because he's an incel and he likes power. He likes having power over people. And he just never got over his girlfriend, I guess, from 16 years ago when they were like teenagers. And to the point where he hunted her down in the universe to bring her back and marry her against her will. Which again, I repeat, ick. Capital ICK. I put killing anyone that disagrees. Sound familiar? Controversial. But yeah, I didn't believe, because they discover that he has like a little timer thing on his side, and they figure out that he has the same problem with the 9-word thing, where every 9th word is what he's actually thinking, and then the rest of it is just like programming. And then he says like he's in pain and help me, and I'm like, I don't believe that. I don't believe the 9-word thing for Alan. I believe he wants this. Like, you can't convince me that this man doesn't want this. But he does say like, join me in ecstasy and freedom, and that gave me like culty vibes, you know. Honestly, at this point, I'm just a Alan hater. I'm just hating on Alan with all my might, honestly. And then they basically, she's there to marry Alan, obviously, but in order to do that, they have to like make the 2 certificates touch, like the past one and the future one, because they're not supposed to be in the same place. And then she would, I guess, like turn into whatever Alan is, which I also didn't quite understand. But they touch the certificates, and she's not able to like handle it because she's just human. And Alan technically can't handle it either, because even though he's a robot, he is still human. But they touch certificates, and then the doctor comes and grabs Belinda, because the doctor does have like more resistance to that kind of stuff. And then they go into like a really trippy trip, I guess. It's a really trippy scene, and I kind of liked it. Where they kind of go through their whole like timelines together and apart, like their whole timelines, like from birth to like old age, and which also doesn't make sense because Alan wasn't gonna have an old age. He's a robot. But they go through that, and the doctor kind of takes Belinda's like energy so it doesn't like fry her, but no one takes Alan's energy, so he kind of explodes. Oh no. He exploded, guys. Oh no. And then he disappears, but apparently he turns into a sperm and an egg, which is nasty. And then Polish cleans it up. Someone needs to disinfect Polish Pot. He doesn't deserve that. He doesn't deserve having that inside him. And then like the episode's over. So they go out and the TARDIS is back because they had taken his TARDIS, and they basically just go in. I was annoyed. They said goodbye to everybody and they went into the TARDIS, but I was kind of annoyed that the doctor took away her like it's bigger on the inside moment. Like that's like a companion rite of passage, you know? They say it's bigger on the inside, but no, he went, see, it's bigger on the inside than it is on the outside. I was like, that's her moment. What are you doing? Why are you saying it instead of her? And then after that, he basically like shows and tells. Like he's excited. He wants to see how it makes sense that they have the map in the future and not in the past. And they want to see how like her descendant or something. They basically just want to know the story. He wants to know the story, and he scans her over to kind of show her like her descendant, and she's like you want to do this, but didn't you promise this to Sasha and she died? And do people usually just go along with what you say? And I really like that. She stood up for what she believed in, and she was like, no, because I don't want you to put my life at risk because you want to explore the world, you know? And you took my DNA without my permission, and that's very violating. And it kind of like at that point I was like, it is kind of violent. Like you didn't consent to that, I guess. Like you didn't say he could do that, he just did it. Which kind of like, I know a lot of people were gonna be like, oh, she's being like a but she is right. But anyway, moving on. It, like I said, it reminded me kind of of Donna when the first time she appeared, she was like, I have to get home, I have a wedding. And he was like, yeah, but let's like explore. And she's like, no, I have a wedding, take me back home. So it was kind of reminiscent of that. And then he tries to go back home and he can't because it's jumping off the date they left, basically not letting them go in. And honestly, I don't blame her for believing that he's trying to trick her, because I would also believe that he's trying to trick me and just not taking me home. And she's like, just take me home. And he's like, I'm trying. And it's like, I don't think you are. Because she doesn't know what the TARDIS does. She just knows that it could take her home, and it's not taking her home. So I don't blame her for being like skeptical. But he opens the door to the TARDIS, and they're kind of like stuck in space. They're standing where the rift was supposed to be, but he closed it, so it shouldn't be a problem anymore. So he needs to see what's going on. And so they go on an adventure against her will, I guess. And because they have to go the long way around, I guess. But at the end, they give you a shot of like the Eiffel Tower and the Statue of Liberty and like a calendar with the March 25th date, which is the day she wanted to go back to, and the certificate floating. So they kind of show you that the world is not okay. And yeah, that was the episode. I did want to say that I didn't really mention it before. he did get his TARDIS taken away, and he was on that planet for 6 months. So I really like this new thing that they're doing where the Doctor just has to wait, because the Doctor doesn't like waiting. They did that with Matt Smith, where he had to wait for a little cube to react, and he could barely wait like 5 minutes. So I like that with this Doctor, he just has to wait. Like, he becomes trapped and he can't just escape. He can't do anything. He just has to stay and wait. And the Doctor was good at like avoiding stuff. And he would just come in a planet, do whatever he needed to do, and leave. And with this Doctor, it's already happened twice where he has to stay and he has to live the life, you know? Which Matt Smith did. That's before he regenerated, he stayed. And with Ncuti last season, he had an episode where he had to stay. And he lived a whole life. He lived a full year. Not a whole life, a year. He lived a year and he made friends, and he, you know, did a normal life where he, like I said, made friends. And then he had to experience losing the friends, and he basically had a life. And so in this one, he also had a life. He was there 6 months, and he made friends, and he became part of this community, and he became part of the cause. And I like that. I like that aspect where he doesn't just come and save whatever and leaves. He has consequences now to staying, because he loses people, and he loses people and he feels those losses, and he becomes part of, you know, the rebels. And he's not just there as like a person they just met. They know this person, and they've met this person, and they've bonded with this person. So I really like that. I'm not sure if they'll continue doing it, because now he has a companion, and I don't know if they stay. Oh, I did forget, David Tennant also had an episode where he stayed, but he didn't remember he was the Doctor. He had his memories in a little pocket watch, so he didn't remember that he was the Doctor. He just thought he was a teacher. Anyway. I don't know if they'll continue doing that, because now he has a companion, and they don't usually stay with companions. They'll just like do the classic, like appear, do the thing, and then leave. But yeah, I'm excited for this season. The new episode looks cool. It's got cartoons, and you're gonna pull me in if there's cartoons. And like I said, it's reminiscent of the 1950s episode with Tennant and Rose, so I'm excited for that. And I might react to that one next week. So we'll see if I keep going with the reactions. And I hope anyone who hasn't watched Doctor Who has been convinced to give it a try. I know it's a lot of episodes, but it's worth it. Come to the dark side. But yeah, that is it for the video this week. Thank you for joining me. I hope you liked it. If you did, please leave a like and subscribe if you'd like. And I'll see you next week with the next video. Bye.